What's all the PMS with Coach G? It's positively motivating sisters with purpose, meaning, style. Are you ready for positive conversations inspiring you to your next level? Do you need motivation to get you growing? Are you a sister, woman, leader, boss, mom, wife, female, her, she? I think you know what I mean. Are you seeking purpose in your life? Do you know the meaning for which you stand? Do you know your style is your unique authenticator? If you answered yes to any one of these questions, this podcast is designed with you in mind, which embodies the whole you, mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, and spiritually. Sisters, we are on a journey in connecting you from where you are to your what's next with purpose, meaning, style, and it all starts with you. Hi, this is Coach G, your Chief P.M.S cheerleader, motivating and empowering you to win in your personal and professional life, your connector, guiding you and bridging the gap from where you are to your what's next. I am your leadership and growth coach strategist, empowerment speaker, author, mom, wife, Christian, and I get to serve you in doing what I am passionate about. You, sisters, we are on a journey for you living your life on purpose, for purpose, with purpose, meaning, style. So thank you for being in this space with me. I never want to take that for granted. I always start out with just exercising that sense of gratitude to you for taking the time to listen each week and sharing the love. That means sharing the podcast with someone else and continuing to just rate and follow. And so there are so many other ways that you can continue to support the show. Maybe you just say, hey, let me support it financially. And you know what? That is available. So as we continue to show up with other guests, empowering you, other women on their personal and professional growth journey, the part of cost of maintaining the show. All you have to do is go to the show description and click on the link, support the show, make your donation, which is your voice in saying, I stand in support of this podcast, how we serve, what we deliver. And in other words, you are being a blessing so we can continue to bless others. So thank you so much for being in this space as you continue to be motivated and being consistent in showing up and listening as we continue to create habits in you reaching your success story. So thank you. Thank you as you continue to listen every week as we educate, inspire, and elevate your growth. So, with that being said, we are in episode 85, taking ownership of your life. But I want to emphasize own, OWN, taking ownership of your life. So this month we've talked a lot about flow. And we're going to continue that conversation because that flow is what helps us continue to navigate on our journey in your life, your business, maybe your career field, your personal development, your professional development. All of that is in a part of you flowing because you're taking ownership of your life, which gives you the opportunity to create a life that is true to you, filled with that personal growth. And that's what we are here for. We're here to grow your happiness and your success. But it starts with you owning your story. Own your story. So, Michelle Obama actually, in her book, Becoming, if you haven't read it, I love that book. Of course, her other book too. But she wrote, we have to see value in our story, your story, and in the larger story of our country, even when it's not pretty or perfect, even when it's more real than you want it to be. Your story is what you have, what you will always have, and it is something to own. So let's talk about that. What does that mean to own? We are really honing in on that OWN. And let me give you this phrase, optimistically welcoming new possibilities. That's just one step. First of all, not seeing it in a negative way, but a positive way, being optimistic about your future, being optimistic about your next step. and welcoming what that means, the new possibilities, the new opportunities, the new levels of growth. And when we come in this space, I'm going to give you some type of tips. And today I want to give you 3 tips. I just want to talk about 3 tips in that part of you taking ownership of your life. Own your story. So, one of the first ones is just stepping into your next. You say, okay, stepping, but how do I do it? Where do I start? Well, it always starts with a vision. It always starts with a plan and a goal, of course. But there's something that I love about Martin Luther King Jr. that he said, you don't have to see the whole staircase just to take the first step. So you don't have to see the whole staircase. Yes, we want to. We want to see how it's going to happen, what's going to happen between the time I set that goal or I'm on that path, that journey to where I'm going. But often it's all about taking that first step and then you take the next. And I always talk about that if you imagine a staircase. And we actually talked about that in an episode not too long ago when we were talking about fit to soar. You know, you being on that first step and instead of, you take the first step, but don't try to jump to the fifth step by trying to miss the first 4 steps. Yeah, physically fit and in that fitness world, you're, uh doing the leaps and bounds. Okay, that's a whole different story. But in this part, when sometimes we could try to bite so much into our necks that we already have defeated ourselves before we even take the first step. So just take the step. And then there's something that Oprah says. She says, step out of the history that is holding you back. Step into the new story you are willing to create. But in order to create something, you have to have a vision for it. So what is that? What is your vision? And then that next one is reaching new levels. How do you take ownership of your life? Own your story, reaching new levels. Well, you say, what am I reaching for? You have to know, what are you reaching for? If you open up a shelf, you go into your pantry, you look, you see, okay, up at the top, I'm trying to grab that bag of popcorn. Okay, in order for me to get it, because it's so high, I really can't quite reach it. Oh, I actually may need a step ladder to get there. Reaching new levels, what is that going to take? What does that mean for you? It's in this instance, the example that I'm talking about, getting that step ladder because I need something to help support me as I take the next step, as I step up to what I'm reaching for, you know, and maybe that reaching new levels for you, let's talk about in the real case scenario, maybe that's going back to school for further your education in a career field. Maybe it's learning more about the career you're in or the business that you want to open or pursue. Maybe it's learning a new trade or hobby. Maybe it's, you know what, I'm at a place where I'm getting ready to retire. I need to know how I'm going to reach that next level. But you have to define it because, again, what is it? Your story is what you have, what you will always have, and it is something to own. You have to take ownership of that. And then that last one, in order to even take ownership of your story, you're going to have to break out of your shell. Now, let me tell you something about that. Often we can say, oh, okay, I broke out of that shell. I just did something brand new. Man, I talk about, I don't even know if I've ever talked about this, but I parasailed for the first time. So to me, that was like breaking out of the shell. I did it. I experienced it. It was good. And yes, you know what? I would do it again. But there may be something that, okay, now that I've done that, as I'm taking a step into my next, as I'm reaching new levels, now there's a whole different shell that you probably have encased yourself in that now, okay, now you have to break out of that shell. We have levels. There's not a one all, okay, I broke this shell, everything is good, I can do everything, I'm stepping into it, I'm owning it. No, no, real, no, it's not. But you sometimes in that part of breaking out of their shell, not even sometimes, I'm going to say, as I said, as a Christian, as a woman of faith, let your faith be bigger than your fears. Because see, that fear is what will put you in that shell. That fear is what will keep you from taking the next step, from reaching new levels, because something will tell you, okay, this is it. But actually unraveling the fear traps to hold you captive in your current situation. Break out of that shell. So, what does that mean? As you step into your next, as you reach new levels, as you break out of your shell, you know what those results are, and you owning your story? You begin to own your brilliance. You begin to own your braveness. You begin to own your branding. Okay, what does that mean? That's your style. That's you. That's your story. That's you because it's what you have, it's what you will always have, and it is something for you to own, which means you choosing to nurture your personal and professional development. That's your growth. Growth happens when we take reach, reaches at new levels, when we take steps at another level, when we take the next step. So I now just, you know what? I want to invite you to take another step, reach a higher level, and break out of your shell. And I'm inviting you to get ready and adjust your crown for your next level of growth. What does that mean? You say, okay, what does that mean? I have often talked about Sister T boardroom. I've invited you into that space. Maybe you haven't even came into that space yet, but that's a space where you and other women leaders or, and I always say women leaders in the sense of maybe you're in a position of management or leadership, but you're leading your own life. And it's time for you to take the crown, adjust it, because you know what? As we move or step higher, there's some adjustments to be made. And so in Sister T Boardroom, we're going to a different level. This is all beginning January 2024. It is Queen's Court Society School of Growth because that's you saying, I choose because I want to elevate in my life. I want to elevate in my career. I want to elevate in my business. And you're saying, I want to intentionally choose to nurture my personal and professional development. Because you know what? That's what a queen does. You don't stay stagnant. So I invite you to an online community membership designed to help you own your brilliance because maybe you haven't quite defined what that is or you don't see yourself that way. Well, let's talk about that. Let's grow that. Let's nurture that. Let's see that. Let's vision that for you. Owning your braveness. Maybe you're ready to go to another level in your career, as I said. Maybe it's stepping into a space that you've never been into. You know what? Let's take you to that level of owning your braveness. And then own your branding. What is your style? Who are you? Defining that, being very specific and aligning with those things, aligning with those goals, and aligning with the successes of your life. Because going back to own your life, taking ownership of your life, optimistically welcoming new possibilities. And so let's walk into that possibility, sisters. So I thank you. How do you get into the Queen's Court Society? It's a membership based, paid membership based. Yes, it is. You go to the link, it's in the show description. And you know what? Right now, you get in for a special price. So go ahead, check it out, see what it's about, see if it aligns with your goals, see if and if you know what, it may even challenge you. If it makes you nervous, it's time to do it because it's time for you to get ready to own your brilliance, own your braveness, and own your branding. And you know what? Be in a community where we all support each other. That if your crown is tilted, we're going to help you adjust it because we're looking out for each other, we're cheering each other along, and we're growing on this journey together. Which brings me to this moment. Give yourself permission to take that next step. Let's get to work. Let's do it. Let's stand into that space of accountability with one another, and let's connect you from where you are to your what's next, so you can own your story, be empowered and winning in your life and business on purpose, for purpose, with purpose, meaning style. So please, as I always say, go ahead. If you have not subscribed or followed or rated this podcast, do it. I ask you, I invite you to, because that continues to help us spread the word. That continues to help us reach further. It helps the podcast be seen and be more visible to other women on their journey. And you know what? We're nurturing the whole you. And that's what the Queen's Court Society is all about, too. And in saying all of that, I want you to continue to rise to new levels, open yourself to new possibilities. And you know what? Own your story, sis, because it's yours to live. And in saying all of that, until next time, sisters, let's keep growing because it all starts with you.